Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ingrid Ellerby, the Executive Director of Base 11. To kick things off in this next segment on Next Frontier Women's Empowerment, we're going to hear from Julie Hill to get her perspective on the topic of why gender equity can't wait. I have no doubt you'll find her perspectives and a story from her own experience to be both informational and inspiring. I know that I do. Julie was the president and CEO in the U.S. for Costain Homes. That's a male-dominated British land development business. As an entrepreneur, she launched two of her own companies, Hillsdale Development and the Hill Company. Throughout her career, Julie's been an advocate for women's equality, for diversity in the workplace, and for equal opportunity in higher education. She believes passionately that businesses can and must do better. She has strived to represent the greater good in all of her years of corporate work. Julie currently serves on the board of Anthem, a Fortune 25 company, the Lord Abbott family of mutual funds, and Unique Corporation, a medical wearables company. As you can see, Julie's experience is diverse and deeply rooted. And now I'd like to welcome Julie Hill.
Thanks, Ingrid, and it's good to be here. And it's always great to talk about women's equality issues, something that, as you say, has been a persistent objective in my career. I had a male high school guidance counselor who said to me when I told him that I wanted to major in business, no. Pretty little girls like you become bitches on wheels in business. You should be a teacher. I think that was the start of my rebellion and a low-grade fever of being ticked off, being told that I could not or should not do something. It's a bit of a winding tale because I was young and impressionable at the time, and I majored in English Lit in college and wound up teaching junior high school for 2 years. But I really did want to be in business. I realized I'd been misdirected. I went back and got a graduate degree in business and then founded my first company. It's a longer story about what kind of business, but the point was that this was in the 70s and this sort of bias was prevalent. And when I read the title of your part of the program, Why Gender Equity Can't Wait, I would have to say that one of the reasons is that it's been waiting for a very long time. I've tried to move the dial on that in every situation I've been in. Became CEO of the division of a British-based land development and construction company when my boss was fired. I was one of 4 VPs, and when the Brits came over to fire my boss, we thought the tall guy, Steve, was going to be selected as the new CEO because he was the only one of us who'd been to London to present, and we figured he had the inside edge. Besides, he was a tall white guy. Turns out the presentation he gave to the board in the UK was mine, a presentation on a large project that I had done. He had stolen it out of my office and presented it in the UK. When that came out, it became obvious what he had done, and the CEO from the UK told me that although I clearly was the right one to run the business, that they had no women above bookkeeper anywhere in their worldwide operations. I told him that was his problem. And I told him also that I held him accountable for all of the US problems that my boss had created here, and that he should have known about them. I tell women to use a bit of that ticked offness as fuel to make you do what needs to be done, to use it as a forward propellant. He asked me about the problems and what I would do about them. And then he asked me to be CEO. But he said my salary would not be what that recently fired CEO was making, which took me from being ticked off to being pissed off, another level up. And I refused to take the job. He eventually relented and I got the salary and the office. The point here is that we have to stand up for ourselves, and using some of that frustration in a direct but positive way matters. That was in the 90s. Now we have a mass of research by Catalyst, PwC, the Conference Board of Canada, McKinsey, and more than I can name that shows all the financial metrics of success in business are directly tied to the diversity of the teams. It is irrefutable. But still, there are fewer women at the top in business, academia, medicine, law, and so on. And we keep perpetuating that. You know, the definition of being crazy is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting the outcome to be different. It's another reason why equality cannot and should not wait. It's just crazy. One good measure of success is the number of women on corporate boards, the highest level you can achieve in business. That number has been rising very slowly. I'm on the board of an organization called Women on Boards 2020. Their objective was to have 20% of corporate board members be women by 2020. They achieved that, and their objective is now to have 30% by 2030. But that is still not parity, and women hold up half the sky, so why not 50%? We really need to continue to expand women's power and influence in the US by 2030. Not because it is the fair and right thing to do, but because it's the bright thing to do. It improves outcomes on every measure you can use. Women hold 6,034 seats of the 26,700 total in the US in 2,982 companies on the Russell 3000 list. Why not half? We have more work to do. And one of the problems, like what I encountered with the land development company, is that we tend to have a model for leadership. And historically, that has been a white male, not exactly inclusive. I'll close with a story that illustrates something that I say to women a lot, and that is simple. Say yes at the door. If an opportunity arises, do not second guess yourself. Say, yes, I can do that, and then figure it out, because you can. And quite often, it's not rocket science. But headhunters will tell you that if there's a job posting with 10 requirements, men will apply if they only have 3 or 4. Women will not apply unless they have 8, 9, or all of them. We edit ourselves out sometimes. So here's an example where I said yes at the door, scared myself, but did it anyway. I was invited to New York for a mutual fund board position. I met 3 white-haired gentlemen for breakfast for the interview in the city at the Lynx Club. I should have seen it coming. As I sat with them in the private dining room with the fireplace in the background, they asked me over my oatmeal if I played golf. Not what was my experience in the financial markets, what had been my history in business, just did I play golf? There was only one right answer. And unfortunately for me, it was the wrong answer. So I lied. I said yes at the door, and I changed the subject so they wouldn't ask me where I played or what my handicap was. To be clear, I did not play golf, but it ticked me off that that was the gate. I called my husband on the way home. He asked how the interview went. I told him that I thought they liked me, but that I had lied about golf. But that they'd said it was important because they would go to Augusta National every year and they'd want me to go along. He asked me how long I had to learn, and I said 6 months, and he basically said I was screwed. But I learned enough. I played. I was terrified. And I've been on that board now for 15 years. I'm the lead director, and it's been a great experience. It would not have happened without breaking the code and changing the norms. That is what we need to do. The story is a metaphor, but waiting for the powers that be to change is way too slow. We have to move that along for everyone's benefit. Women's equality has been waiting a long time. Time's up on that. Thanks, Ingrid.